आपादमौलिपर्यन्तां गुरूणामाकृतिं स्मरति न विघ्नप्रणश्यन्ति सिद्धन्ति च मनोरथाः लक्ष्मीतनोतु नितरामितरानपेक्षमङ्गद्वयं निगमशाकिशिखा प्रवालम् ऐरम्बमं गुरुहडम्बरचौर्यनिग्रहं विघ्नाद्रिभिः शतधारधुरन्धरनः तेषां स्वागतम्. This is the Saṃskāra session for the 18th shloka. So, in the 18th shloka, we understand this word paratmat, paratmatma vibheda bhedakam, para and atma. So, in our ancient culture, in our ancient knowledge, there are concepts of para and apara. So this para and apara is what contributes to paramatma, paratma, etc., etc., etc. So here what happens is there are two concepts of para and apara that has been specified in many texts again, because whatever is the samskara part that we are trying to find out or trying to analyze is not limited to just this text. It is some of the ancient concepts, culture that we are trying to bring about through this text. So there are mentions over here, but there are the larger meanings of these things, of these concepts are usually expanded to different texts. So when we talk about para, here we are talking about something higher, something that transcends a certain barrier. So here the barrier is nothing but manifestation. So anything that is avyakta, anything that has not yet been manifested. So there we describe it as para. That is basically beyond the form of knowledge that we are able to receive or able to digest. For example, our basic understanding of different kinds of knowledge comes from our sense organs. So the limitation is that with sight, I can only see. With ears, I can only hear. And with skin, I can only feel. With tongue, I can only taste. With nose, I can only smell. So any knowledge, any data of this universe has to be processed through these five sense organs itself. And there are different ways of doing it. We have already seen the pratyaksha, anumana, and upamana pramanas, different kinds of pramanas. So what happens is anything beyond this can be experienced or explained as para. So para means something that is transcendent, ultimate reality or divine force. That is the reason when we say Parabrahman, when we say Paramatman, Parama Atma, Parama Brahma, we are talking about an unmanifested force that has become the initiator for creation. So this is one concept. So that is the reason. Now that is the reason why when we are not able to divide them, when we are not able to perceive them, we have to bring it down to certain nature. We have to bring it down to our kind of understanding, because nobody has experienced, nobody can explain what Parabrahman is through words. So we have to understand it through experience only. So that is the reason we have the concept of apara. That means we are trying to attribute it. We are trying to bring out something to understand. Like for example, if we start out with the concept of nirakara, nirguna Brahman, Parabrahman. Nobody can understand what that entity is, who that entity is, how that entity works, etc., etc. But we need to understand that if it is nirguna, I can only understand gunas. As a human, I can only understand gunas. If it is nirguna, how can I understand it? If it is of opposite nature, it is okay. Sukha, dukkha, I can understand. But what is that state that has no gunas? It is very difficult to understand. So, therefore, the initial attributes that we can understand about this Parabrahman, we try to associate with it. Like, for example, Parabrahman has the power to create, because we are the creation, it has resulted in us. So, there has to be a power of creation. Then we are sustaining, Artha sustaining. Whole creation is sustaining, it is in a state of status quo, it is maintaining itself. Therefore, this status means it is sustaining. So it has that one attribute of sustenance. So because when we talk about Vishnu also, we always say Shri Lakshmi Narayana, Shri Lakshmi. These are prosperity. That means if sustenance, what is important for sustenance is that we should get all the nurturing ingredients, resources for that. So therefore, that is also available to us. So if I am hungry, then there exists resource where I can feed myself. So that is also available in nature. That is also available in creation, and not just in terms of humans, not just in terms of animals. Everything is associated. Like for example, if there is the creation of ocean, where does the ocean get its water from? From the rivers. Where do the rivers get their water from? Some of them get it from glaciers, ice. Some of them get it from groundwater. So, how does the ocean feed itself? Through rivers. How does the ocean rivers feed themselves? Through glaciers or through groundwater. How do they feed themselves? Through rain. How do rain gets the water content? Again from rivers. So the process is such that it is meant to sustain whatever the creation is. But this doesn't mean there isn't end to it. There is an end to it as well. And that end is also described. So therefore, when we come from the concept of Nirguna Brahman to something that we can understand, some attribute must be associated with it, otherwise, I won't be able to understand. Therefore, the primordial deities are Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara, who denote these three fundamental nature of Parabrahman, who has the capability to create something, who has the capability to sustain the creation, and who has the capability to end the creation. So now I'm bringing it down to a format of understanding that I can understand. So I have associated certain functions of the Parabrahman, giving it some gunas. Nirguna Brahman is Nirguna. There is no gunas about it, but it is leading to something based on the karya, or based on the effect. If Parabrahman is the cause, effect is there. There is some end product. Based on the end product, I am trying to associate certain gunas. This guna exists, this guna will come, like that, etc., etc. In this case, we reach a new concept called as the apara. Apara means it is something that is lower. When we talk about para, it is something mundane, something that is transcendent. But when we are talking about apara, we are talking about something that is mundane, something that is contrasting, something that is materialistic, something that is manifested, etc., etc., etc. So, but it is inferior. Here we agree that it is inferior. We are only doing it because there is a necessity for us to do it. Because unless and until I do that, I cannot bring the true knowledge to a level where I can understand. Therefore, it becomes important for me to do that. Otherwise, if I have to associate myself with the Parabrahman, and if Parabrahman is Nirguna, how can I think about something that is Nirguna? Because I don't even understand that concept of what Nirguna is. I have always found some or the other thing to associate with with any kind of existence, with any kind of physical existence. I have always associated some guna. It can be with respect to varna, rupa, akara. It can be anything. All these are gunas. There are 24 different kinds of gunas. So all these gunas get associated with it. Now it becomes very important for us to understand the Parabrahman, that I need to bring down the nature of Parabrahman, and then I have to first try and uh, bring a rudimentary understanding of what that entity is. Then when I understand that that is mithya, when I understand that is not the true nature of the of Parabrahman, then through the concept of neti, that is negation, then I have to go a little higher. So fundamental understanding now, like for example, when we teach the concept of day and night, we say sun rises in the east, but sun doesn't move anywhere. It is the earth that is revolving around the sun. So therefore, what our understanding should be is that the earth is moving around the sun. But for an infant or a small child, this concept is very difficult to understand because they don't have the knowledge of the solar system, how the solar system works, what are orbits, where is the sun located. All these things are not possible for them to explain so much about them. So what happens, we give them a simple whatever is seen, that itself is perceived as real. So we say sun rises in the east and sets in the west. When the nature of the solar system, the concept of solar system is clear, then they themselves will start questioning, how can the sun rise in the east when the sun is not moving at all? Then it leads to discovery of revelation of the true nature of day and night, where it is the earth that is moving around. So this is the concept, that is, I need to reach a certain level to understand certain level of knowledge. I need to get a base. Like, I cannot teach something so deep of Sanskritam to a person who doesn't have any understanding of Sanskritam. So the reading of texts are there, and then what we need to do, we need to build a better foundation for Sanskritam, then go deep into the concepts. Like that, what we have to do, we have to go from apara to para. So para means the higher, the avyakta form, something that transcends, and it is supreme. We also say that it is a whole. It is not in parts. That is akhandam sachidanandam avang manasa gocharam. This is the atmanam akhiladharam ashriyatishta siddhaye. This is the mangala shloka for vedanta sara, which means akhandam. They're not, there is no khandita, there is no parts. It is one whole, Parabrahman. Satchidanandam, Sat Chit Anandam, Avang Manasa Gocharam, something that cannot be understood by the Indriyas. Avang Manasa Gocharam, it is above that. So, Atmanam Akhiladharam, Ashraya Bhishta Siddhare. Atmanam Akhiladharam. It's something that the whole creation is dependent on. So that is the nature of para. And we have this concept for vak also, that is the sound. We actually have a lot to do with sound. So when we come to the Omkara Japa, there is also that concept. We'll probably focus a little more on that. So that is para. Apara, it doesn't represent the true reality. It is local reality. That is, to my extent, it is correct. To my extent, it is correct. But there is a higher truth than that. like when we say regionally giving preference is one thing, but nationally is the reality, because regionally we can only get a chance to identify or emphasize our identity if our national identity is secure. So if my national identity itself becomes a problem, then what is the point of calling myself a person from so and so state? That becomes very important. So like the border areas where there are disputes, unless and until they like people from the northeast, unless and until they are given the identity of Indian, how can they say what is the point of saying that I'm from a so and so state? So that becomes the most important thing. So while the nature of the apara is not to be ignored, but we need to understand that whatever is the concept of apara, they are not the ultimate truth. So there is still some journey to go through. There is still some realization that will come across, and we need to strive for it. And that from apara to para, we can reach the ultimate truth through this process of niti that was taught in the previous listing. So apara here is something that is lower, something that is material, something that is conforming to local reality, something that is inferior, etc., etc. So here, apara represents the changing world, while or the change in the creation, while para represents the whole creation, which doesn't, which is stable, which does not change at all. The state of para does not change at all. So this is the concept of para and apara that uh, is explained in many of the scriptures, which is also seen in the 18th shloka. Here it says, Yada Paratmatma Vibheda Bhedakam, something that differentiates Parayana. So, with this, we conclude the Saṃskāra session for the 18th shloka. यस्ते प्रजाभ्यः प्रतिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महीमहीषा गोब्राह्मणेभ्यो शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृतिस्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि.